You see, I've tried using colors like these in my art, but whenever I do it, they just look like rainbow vomit. So I eventually gave up. But it wasn't until I came across 96's work that I realized I have been doing it all wrong. 96 consistently uses this side of the color wheel, but how? What happened to balance and color harmony? In this video, I'm going to dig deep into colors and study not one, but 3 pro illustrators with distinct coloring styles to find out the combinations, ratios, and techniques they use in stunning pieces like these. Let's go. First off, how does 96 get away with using super strong colors like these, and why does it work so well in the drawings? There are multiple ways to create contrast in art. Contrast is how we see in the real world. A very popular way to use saturated colors in images is by focusing them solely around focal points to lead the eye towards them. This is what we're all told by the gurus. Saturation equals focal point because it draws the eye. But perhaps a rebel at heart, 96 uses the most saturated colors on not the focal points, but actually all the unimportant areas. You see, contrast actually just means things that stand out. Meaning, if there's a black dot in the midst of all these bright and saturated rainbow goop, the black dot is what stands out. If I quickly run my color picker through these two pieces, you will notice that the background themselves are more saturated than any parts of the character. Even though this red and this orange here is not as saturated, they will still stand out because these hues are complete opposites from the main tone of the piece. This is a classic use of a complementary color scheme. The values here play a huge role in keeping contrast between the character and the background. Having the darkest darks and the brightest lights around each other in close proximity will create contrast. And because the backgrounds are fairly simplistic here, they do not compete with the character, even though the colors are so saturated. Going along with that, 96 actually takes lighting pretty seriously. They're not just dumping a bunch of saturated colors randomly on the canvas. And this makes the use of bright and saturated colors incredibly believable. We can tell that there are 2 light sources in this drawing. One from here, which is a bluish tone because of how the white shirt is colored, and another one from this direction, which is a bright red given how the hand here is colored. Now I want you to pay attention to the hair here. This is Makima from Chainsaw Man, and her hair's local color, meaning the original color of an object, is a reddish tone as well. So why is this part of a hair less saturated than this part? Well, you just have to think of it as a math equation. Let me explain. If a light source is colored, it will interact with the material the light hits and reflect back to our eyes with a different color. We're going to talk about color relativity more in detail when analyzing PainDude's work, but to simplify it, when light and material has same color, the resulting color we see is a more intense version. But when there are opposites on the color view, they subtract and become less saturated versions. So because the light here is red and Makima's hair is red as well, we get a more intense red glow on this side, whereas the light here is blue, so it subtracts the redness of the hair. That's why the hair appears to be less saturated. Again, you can almost see the same hue across the characters, like she is stained by that color. Plus the use of complementary colors to contrast against the background, like here, here, and here. The staining effect is how color light interacts. Because light bounces around in an atmosphere, the entire scene will be affected. We're going to talk about this staining effect more in detail in just a second, but you'll notice by now that in 96's work, the clothing on the character is often black or white. This is 100% intentional because they contrast very well with the intense colors that 96 is using for the environments, showcasing the color principles that we just discussed. And this design choice is actually shared by the next artist we're going to look at, except their coloring style is a complete 180 flip from what we've just seen. This is PainDude, and in their body of work, we can find another very interesting color phenomenon. At first glance, the water in this pool here seems to have a pretty saturated green, but let's take out our trusty color picker and you can see all of the pool is actually really desaturated. The most saturated spot is right here, but even that is not that saturated. Or this piece. Let's zoom in a little. See this building here and the sky behind it? I think most of us would agree that the building looks either orangey or yellowy, and the sky looks blue. But surprise, surprise, they're both gray. So why does this happen? Because colors are relative, our brains will perceive them as a certain color by association with another color. So even just the slightest nudge in saturation is enough to tell the viewers that this is yellow and this is blue. Same thing here with the skin. There's just that slight bump in saturation. Anything more is going to ruin the balance. And this ties back to the staining effect that we were discussing earlier. This effect can be very easily observed if we look at the white shirts and the skin of the characters in these two pieces. This subtle shift is due to the shift in environment and light source. If you want to capture accurate and believable colors, then this is probably the one thing you need to master. But hold on. At this point, you might be wondering, okay, but at the start, you were telling us to use saturated colors, and now you're saying we should use gray? So which one is it? The thing is, there's no right or wrong answer. You just have to make sure the relationship between the colors you use is correct. Notice the comparison between these two pieces by the two artists. Everything is shifted towards the saturated side as 96 pushes the colors further, and vice versa. As things get desaturated, the entire piece gets desaturated here in PainDude's piece. There's no sudden jump in saturation anywhere. This is a color wheel taken from James Gurney's blog, and I think using a color wheel like this is useful when we're thinking about color harmony. The path a color takes when transitioning from one hue to another is going to look a little like this. Instead of thinking yellow and taking this color, in most cases, maybe you just need a desaturated version of the hue you're already using, like this. In PainDude's case, they're not using anything on the outer edge of this color wheel, therefore there's no need to travel down. Instead, PainDude travels around this area by shifting hues directly. Okay, let's talk about contrast. The main way PainDude creates contrast is by using, of course, values. The black on the skirt contrasts with the bright lights of the grocery section behind her, and the lighter shirt contrasts with the darker buildings. The biggest advantage of this kind of coloring style is it's very easy to create contrast. Because everything is so desaturated, any saturated color spots you add in the picture will automatically stand out. For example, we can see the same complementary color scheme being used here in this Gundam piece, or the same sort of saturation techniques being used on the focal points here. Now, as you become better at colors, you'll start becoming more sensitive to subtle changes in colors. That's why having a really good display will help you in that. I did my studies for this video with the Canvas Pro 13 2.4K, which not only has amazing colors, but is also super lightweight and easy to carry around. This is a first 13-inch tablet in the market to have an upgraded 2.5K resolution, which balances out the premium experience with an affordable price. The pen feels comfortable to grip and it's very smooth to draw with. The fully laminated screen and the improved PenTech 3.0 just feels like I'm drawing on paper. The coolest part for me is this display can also go into tablet mode like this. I don't know, maybe you're on the go and there's no battery left. You can just switch it to the tablet mode to save power or just say posture reset. I mean, it's nice to have the option, you know? And I don't know about you guys, but I always like it whenever a tablet has these shortcut keys on the side. I never like using a keyboard when I'm drawing. At the point when this video is published, Huion is having a sale, so the already affordable prices for their products is going down even more. There's a link in the description below, so check it out if you're interested. Because we've seen two extreme examples on the spectrum, let's explore how we can implement those techniques into a more balanced, I guess, normal setting. And Carat 2525 is the perfect candidate to study from. There is usually a ratio being used between these three categories of colors in a piece. Notice the boosted up saturation in the skin of the character against the blue overall tone of the picture. This is our first category, and it's called the accent color, the highlight in the piece. Here in this piece, it's the warm saturated skin color contrasting directly against the blue background. It's also taking up the smallest ratio in the entire image. The saturated blue in the environment surrounding the character is the base color, and the white that's in the character's clothing and around here is the secondary / neutral color. This Miku piece here has a very similar setup. The green in her hair is obviously a little more saturated, which brings in another layer of dynamics, but the real accent color here is again her skin color, and the little red and gold on the metal parts here. The ratios for these different categories of color are not always the same, but in general it goes like this: 60 to 70% for base color, 20 to 30% for secondary/neutral, and finally around just 5 to 10% of accent color. Yes, you don't want to overdo the accent color. And we see this kind of setup being used again and again. To dumb it down, all you really need is to have a really saturated complementary color to contrast against the background. But to do this effectively, we'll obviously need planning. Here's where colored thumbnails help the most. Not only do they provide you with that quick insight on how your final colors are going to look like, but you can also very quickly adjust composition and change colors if you need to. You can also quickly change color schemes by using gradient maps, which should be in most mainstream drawing apps at this point. But if you're savvy enough, you can even separate elements by their color categories like this into layers, so it's a quick hue and saturation bar adjustment. There is a lot more to colors than what we've discussed in this video, but believe it or not, just knowing about colors isn't enough for you to create beautiful pieces like these. Without solid understanding in lighting, you won't be able to apply half the stuff you learn here. Well, lucky for you, I explored everything about lighting by studying Chinese illustrator Kana in this video here, so make sure to give that a watch. Bye!